Okay, so I've got my very basic setup for the sash panel family, where you can see I've got the width and the height established with parameters. I'll just test them again, so I'll just make that a different value. So the width is working and the height as well should be working. Let's undo that. Okay, so now, before I go any further and put in the glass and the glazing bars, I'm going to load it in to, the file with the frame, which I must have closed, so I'm just going to open that again. It's probably good for you to see this as well, so when you have lots of files open, it's really important that you are comfortable navigating between those files. And so when you click on the little switch windows button, you'll see all the views open from your different files. And so there I can go back to my sash panel family, click load into project, and this time it'll give me a choice of the files that I've got open, even if they're family files. So you can see there's my basic box family. I'm just going to click to one side to place it on the ground. We go into the floor plan view and we can see it there. I might just drag it over closer to the left. And then using the align tool, so doing things like this, a lot of good practice using that. And so here I'm going to make sure I choose the center line there first, and then I'll get a center line from this box object. So that's one of the big advantages of bringing this in as a family. You get these center lines set up automatically. So I can lock the center of my sash panel to the center of my window frame that way. Clicking lock there. Now I need to put in another reference plane. So I'm just going to draw a new reference plane in between the sides of this panel, just roughly in the middle there. And then I'm going to draw a dimension from the outer reference plane that I set up last week, and then the center line in the mullion that I set up, and also the reference plane I've drawn just then, and place a dimension to one side, click equals, and now that will be centered between my two set out lines. And then again I can use the align tool, pick the reference plane, and then choose the center of my panel family, lock it. So now when this panel changes size, it'll do it from the center. And if you remember how I set up so you wouldn't have seen, but the way I've set this up is to have the width go either side of the center. Now I'm going to go to the elevation view, and I just need to go to wireframe to see that panel because it's inside the wall. And again, I'm going to click align, pick the reference plane that sets the sill, and then I'll need to use tab most likely to get the base of that panel before I can lock it. Okay, so now I've tied this to the window frame as much as it needs to be, but then I need to make it adjustable in this file, and this is the part that's probably the most interesting. If I go to family types, what I'll see are the parameters in this file. So basically just the width and the height, which is the width and the height of the whole frame. But I've got then, if I select the panel, also the sash, if I go edit type, I've got parameters that have come from that file. So I've got a width and a height, which set the size of this object. So how do I tie them to this file? And the way you do it is by clicking on the button at the end. So if you've wondered what this button here does, it's not to adjust that parameter, it's to link it or associate the parameter. So I'm going to click there and you'll see, again, associate family parameter. And I'm going to make a new one. So I'm going to make a new parameter. I'm going to call this frame. Sorry, that's a bad name. Sash frame width. Okay, and then OK, and OK. Now, if I go back into family types, I've got sash frame width. Okay, so if I change that now, I'll just change that to something else, 800. You can see it goes, or the box changes with that value. So, how do I then work out what that size should be? We've got to do a little bit of maths here. if you work out that the overall width, which is from here to here, well, let's say here it's 3,800. We know that's going to be changing, but let's just think of it being that size for now. And then I'll just measure again so you can see these other values. I'm going to measure the size of the jamb, which you can see is 35, so that's the window jamb. And then we've got the mullions, which are 120. Okay, so we've got two lots of 35 either side, and then the two mullions, 120. So that's what, 240 plus 70, so that's 310. Okay, so it's fairly simple maths now. If I go to family types, I can just type in equals width. So width is whatever value this is. It's 3,800 now, but that can change. So width minus, what was it, 310? Isn't it? 310, wasn't it? Hopefully I'm right, yep. Try to remember so many numbers, I do get them mixed up. So, okay, so now I'm putting that in brackets. If you remember your order of operations, this needs to be divided by 3, so we need to make sure we subtract the 310 from that before it's divided. Okay, so that should give me whatever the width is in between those panels. So let's just see if my maths is right. 1163.3. You can tell us. Looks pretty good to me, but I'm going to measure that just to make doubly sure. 1163.3. Okay, so then I can use the same process to work out what the height's going to be. This is a little bit simpler. So we know the height is from here to here, and then we've got the, I think it was 35 mil at the top, and then 20 mil at the bottom from memory. Yeah. Okay, so that's 55. So again, I can do the same thing to get the height for this sash panel. So back into edit type, click the associate family parameter button, and this will be sash, oh no, sorry, I'm not thinking. What did I do wrong? You want to be brave? I measured the whole height. How many panels do we have? Okay, we've got 2. So that's divided by 2, and then you'll see it's going to have an extra 20 mil added to it. Okay, so that will mean the height, oh sorry, back into edit type first. So we still need to add the parameter, or associate and then add the parameter. So sash frame height is the name of the new parameter. Where did that go? Didn't go in? What did I do there? Sorry, oh, I searched for it. I meant to click add. So sash frame height. So now that's associated, and then I can go to family types and put in my little formula. Height minus 55. Oops. So height minus 55 divided by 2, and then, so again, all that in brackets. Okay, so we need 2 lots of brackets there because we need to then add 20 mil more to all of that. Okay, so you just need to remember your order of operations. Surprising how often people, I worked with an architect recently who couldn't remember and actually used formulas every day as well, so we ended up putting everything in brackets often when he didn't need to. So just remember division and multiplication come first, and then subtraction and addition. So, or addition and subtraction. So, okay, so then you can see there that's changing. I'm not going to bother measuring it because I'm pretty sure it's right. And so I'm going to then copy that and use a line again to bring it to the top of the frame, or the window head. Lock the top there. And they're overlapping, which is exactly what I want. So that should be 40 mil now, of any luck. Right, so, Okay, so then I did make another mistake as well, but it's an easy one to fix. I put these on the centre when in reality they would be offset as we looked at before. You'll have one on each side of that centre line. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of little tricks here. When I select this one, if I go to the plan view, you can see that it's not highlighting properly. So I'm going to, the other one is actually the one I want. So I'm going to go to the little temporary hide button and just hide element to make sure that I've only got the one sash showing there. Before I use align, and again choose my center line, and then the side of the sash, lock it, and then I'll try going to the 3D view again, select the top, and then see if I go to my ceiling plan, and it isn't showing there either, so I'm going to check my view properties. So yeah, well, it's above the view plane or the cut plane, so I'm just going to go into view properties, which is good for you to see as well, because in a project view properties come up automatically when you deselect everything, but over here you can see it's still got family windows coming up in properties. So you just need to click on that little drop down to get your view properties option there. And now I can go down and edit the view range, and you can see there the cut plane is really high. That's why it's not showing what I want. So I'm going to just change that to 1500, no, 1300. And there we are. So now I can see the other panel. And again, align, center line, edge of the sash. And it's going to tell me the constraints are not satisfied, and that is fine. I'm going to remove constraints and just work out now why. I'll just undo that actually. It's got the wrong one. Making sure what I'm looking at there. Okay, so that one should be the bottom. Just double check there. Ah, I've put that on the top. Okay, so that's why it's not working the way I thought it would. Yep, okay, so I've put the bottom on the wrong side. This is the top, so I'm going to align again. Yep, remove constraints, that's right. And now back in the floor plan, oh, so this time the other one, there's my bottom. So I can align now and get it the right way around, hopefully. Keeps going back to front. Sorry about this. So that's right, this one here, just not sure what I'm looking at there. Ah, I can't see it. Maybe in this one. There it is. Don't know why I keep getting the wrong side, so I'll just try that again. Yeah, that should be right. But it's going to move the other one. Okay, so I'll do what I should have done before. I'm going to hide the one that I know is right. So I've selected the one that's right, and I'm just going to right click. Also, I'll just use the temporary hide element, and try that again. Yep, that should be right. Yeah, okay, so that looks pretty good. And so there we are. So the bottom should be set back, and the top is obviously set forward. And before I go and then repeat these in the other panels, I'm going to go and again flex as you should always. So testing the height there, I'll just try 2000. Looks pretty good. And then the width will make, let's go right down to say 1500 or something to really push it. There we go, that's good. And then out to 4500 or something. Okay, so that's picked up a problem, but it's an easy one to fix. This panel needs to be now centered. It's obviously lost that association, so you can see it there. So again, with a line, I can choose the center line and then find the center line of the panel. Okay, so then back to family types and just testing again. Hopefully see how useful that is. Okay, so then I can repeat those by copying the two panels just using the copy tool. To the next, and I'm going to put them off to the side just so that you can see. I'm going to use the align tool then with the center line of the window and then the center line of each of these panels, which, there we go, you just need to make sure you find. And then back into my 3D view, maybe to select them. When I copy this time, I'm also going to copy the reference plane. So again, just placing that roughly to begin with. Of course, drawing a dimension to center that reference plane with equals. And then using a line finally to get the center line of the panel, which can take a little bit of finding, but it will be there. Okay, so these have gone, now these have actually stayed locked, hopefully, to this reference plane. So that's good actually, because I copied the reference plane. Let's just go and test that. It may be already locked. So I'll again change the width. Looks pretty good. And the height. Okay, so everything's working except for that. And this is normal. So again, we just need to align using the reference plane at the top there to pick up the top of the sash for each of those. Oops. And it doesn't hurt to check the bottoms. There's a good chance the bottoms aren't attached either, so I'm just going to make sure they are. So with tab there to make sure I get the right edge. And then back into my 3D views, test that all, and we should be good to go. So there we go, the width is fine, and the height looks pretty good too. Okay, so I'll finish that one there. Next video I'll do the glazing and the glazing bars.